All right, let's talk Nebraska Cornhuskers football. And of course, head coach Matt Rhule. He's done a phenomenal job in the recruiting, the transfer portal department. But Matt Rhule has recently pulled off maybe his most impressive move yet, and it could have a huge impact for Nebraska going forward. Let's get directly into this story, and we'll talk about it more on the other side. One of the most successful coaches in the history of football has been announced as a guest speaker at this year's Nebraska's Football's X's and O Coaching Clinic. Eight-time Super Bowl champion Bill Belichick will be a featured speaker for the 2024 event. It should be no surprise that Belichick would participate in the camp, as he has previously praised Rhule's ability as a football coach. Ton of respect for Matt Rhule. Yeah, he said Matt did a tremendous job at Temple, ran a great program there. Then, of course, went down to Baylor and did an outstanding job down there. You look at the draft this year, the number of players that came out of Baylor in this year's draft, which were really his players. So, on all levels, whether it's recruiting, motivation, strategic development of players, not all the players at those two schools are necessarily the top high school prospects going there, but he turned out a lot of good players. All right, obviously, inking Bill Belichick, a guy who is not big, obviously, is no longer the head coach of the Patriots. He's not big at media appearances. Bringing him into a coach's clinic to work with his staff, I think, has a chance to provide a lot of big value for Nebraska. And I think it also speaks to how intelligent and how good of a coach Matt Rhule is. I think there's a double whammy there. Miles, I'm curious what your thoughts are on this story. But first, Nebraska fans in the comment section below, what do you think of the impact of Bill Belichick in this coaching clinic, working with the Nebraska coaches? Do you think there's any value to it at all? Do you think it's going to be a great move? Do you think there are some opportunities there for some of these coaches to learn from Belichick, even if it's over a short weekend? Give us what you think of this move here and what it potentially means and speaks to in terms of Matt Rhule's coaching ability in the comment section below. But Miles, give me your thoughts on this move by Matt Rhule and what it could potentially mean for Nebraska.
There's a couple different things this brings to mind for me. One being, you know, the respect from Coach Belichick for a guy like Matt Rhule. Like you said, he doesn't do this kind of thing very often. Obviously, we know he isn't in, coaching right now, so he has more free time than he's had in the past. But the ability for Matt Rhule to ask him, he'd have to respect Matt Rhule a heck of a lot to be like, you know what, I'm sure I'll come talk to your staff. And to peel back behind the curtain, to start to, whether what you think will happen with Belichick or not, he's in the twilight of his coaching career now. I think we see it dwindling. He might coach a few more years, but he's closer to the end than he is to the beginning now. For him to start peeling back and giving that knowledge to other coaches has got to be huge, because I think he's one of the most knowledgeable coaches in all of sports. He's run a lot of tight organizations, and I think any coaching staff can benefit to hear from a guy like him. So that, the respect that he gives Matt Rhule, you feel good about that. The knowledge he's going to give those coaches, you feel good about that. But the third thing is, I really like the comments he says here. You feel good because it predates a comment that Matt Rhule said earlier this season about wanting to be a, developmental powerhouse for talent in the football world. And Belichick hits on so many things that you feel good about knowing Matt Rhule now. Him saying, he is a great developer of talent. He's gone to many programs, brought in a lot of guys and developed them very nicely, NFL level talent. And, not even the top high school level of player he brought in and turned into very good players. As a Nebraska fan, you got to feel good that any player brought into this program, 5-star, 4-star, 3-star, 2-star, Matt Rhule is such a great developer of talent, as noticed by Coach Bill Belichick and acknowledged there, that he has the potential to turn guys much higher than what their ratings are, what people give credit for them. So he's a talent maximizer in that ability on his own right. So I think all of these comments by Coach Bill Belichick, very interesting, and I'm curious to see how it pans out over this season.
Yeah, I think there's another factor too in this. I think it just gives Matt Rhule and this Nebraska program a little bit more validation, a little bit more spark, a little bit more clout, right? It kind of, to use an analogy, it's like a new club opening or something, and like they're trying to get celebrities to go there, and then you get like, I don't know, I hate to use it, but Taylor Swift or whatever, she shows up, and then suddenly now that club's the hottest spot in the city, right? It's the hottest club in LA or New York or whatever. It's sort of like that because Bill Belichick, everybody knows who he is, from 11-year-olds to 111-year-olds, right? He is, along with Saban, essentially the two best coaches in modern American football, college and pro. So for him to make his first public speaking engagement to be with Nebraska, it kind of turns a lot of attention and energy towards Nebraska. Like, all right, what's going on in Nebraska? What's going on with Matt Rhule? The fact that Belichick, he can go talk anywhere he wants. He could go in front of Wall Street executives. He could go in front of world leaders. He could go in front of NFL coaches, and he wants to go to Nebraska. Maybe we should pay attention more to Nebraska. Maybe recruits should think about going more to Nebraska. Maybe transfers should consider going more to Nebraska. It just gives Nebraska that extra validation. And it's all part of a big, and I think here's the key theme, it's all part of this massive feedback loop, the success spiral, where you get some good recruits, you get some good transfers, you get some energy in your program. Belichick comes, you get more energy, you get better recruits, better transfers, you play better football, which brings in better recruits and better transfers. And then you win more games, right? It just becomes this massive feedback loop. And once that flywheel starts going, then you get Nebraska returning to the glory days. So I kind of just see this as just another data point that Nebraska is building that momentum to returning to more consistent success.